everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This one was requested by a few of you, and it's a fascinating one. It is a transcript, actually, from a YouTube Q&A session.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this Q&A was in a mix of Polish and Spanish.
Wow.
So it's featuring this guy named Calogero Grifasi, and he seems to be some kind of spiritual teacher or guide, but I'll tell you, the topics they cover are all over the place, but in a really interesting way.
I like that.
Yeah, it's karma, reincarnation, energy manipulation, even a universal boss. So
wow.
Definitely not your typical spiritual Q&A.
No, not at all. Sounds very intriguing.
Yeah, so our mission today is to unpack this unique transcript and pull out those intriguing nuggets of wisdom and see what resonates with you guys. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with this concept of karma that comes up.
Okay.
Grifasi suggests that karma isn't some fixed cosmic law. You know, it's like set in stone.
Yeah.
Instead, he says it's something we create with our beliefs.
That's a very different perspective. I like it.
It is, and he emphasizes our power as creators, especially in our personal space.
Okay.
So if you believe in karma, you're more likely to experience it because you're essentially creating that reality for yourself.
Huh. That's fascinating.
Yeah, so if we're creating our own karma, I mean, what does that mean for taking responsibility for our actions? You know, does it mean we have even more control over the outcomes in our lives?
That's a huge question.
It is.
And I don't know that he explicitly addresses that in this particular Q&A.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something to ponder.
Yeah.
You know, if our beliefs really do shape our reality to that extent,
right,
then taking responsibility for those beliefs is super crucial.
For sure. And he gives this example of someone who believes in karma and as a result sees it play out in their life.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like if you're convinced that every bad action will come back to bite you,
Oh, yeah.
you'll start seeing those patterns everywhere.
Absolutely. And, you know, it makes me think about how powerful our subconscious is. The way that these, you know, deep-seated beliefs can really subtly influence our perceptions and our experiences.
It's true. And, you know, that kind of ties into another point he makes about people constantly seeking answers they already have.
Interesting.
He's even creating a course to teach people how to find those answers within themselves rather than, you know, externally.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm guilty of that, looking outside myself when the wisdom might be right here.
Oh, absolutely. Me too. It's so easy to fall into that trap of searching for external validation or, you know, guidance. But his approach encourages us to really cultivate that inner knowing.
Yeah.
To trust our intuition and our inner wisdom.
I love that. Okay, now for a real head scratcher.
Okay, it's your...
He brings up this idea of consciously choosing not to reincarnate. Instead of the, you know, the whole death and rebirth cycle.
Yeah.
He's suggesting that individuals can opt to take on a role within the system of reincarnation itself.
Hold on. So you're saying we could become architects of the cycle rather than participants?
It seems that way. I mean, how would that even work?
That's a detail he doesn't really dive into in this Q&A.
Okay.
It's more of a teaser, I think, hinting at the potential for souls to evolve beyond the need for, you know, repeated physical incarnations. And maybe even take on roles that support the evolution of others.
Wow, so much to think about there.
Definitely.
We'll have to explore that more, I think.
I would love to.
All right, shifting gears a bit, he also talks about defining your personal space, energetically speaking.
Yeah.
He encourages us to consider if we're really in control of our space or if we're letting, you know, external influences impact us.
Right. It's about recognizing and reclaiming our energetic sovereignty.
Yeah, exactly. It makes total sense. Now, there was this one part that left me totally confused. I got to be honest.
Okay.
This word figa.
Figa?
Yeah, it pops up a few times.
Okay.
And it seems to have like multiple interpretations, so I'm not entirely sure what he's getting at.
The figa mystery. It could be a cultural reference or a term with specific significance within his teachings, but unfortunately, without more context, it's hard to say.
Yeah, it just goes to show how much can get lost in translation, even with, you know, spiritual concepts.
Absolutely. Context is key.
For sure. All right, let's move on to something a little less cryptic.
Okay.
Physical manifestation. I know this is something that you find fascinating.
I do. So what does he have to say about it?
Well, he believes that it's possible to physically manifest entities, but he's cautious about rushing into it without a deep understanding of the process and the potential risks involved.
So he's saying, yes, you can have this power, but use it wisely.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
It sounds like he emphasizes approaching these practices with respect and discernment.
Right.
And a solid understanding of the principles behind them.
So it's not just about, you know, wishing for something and poof, it appears.
Doesn't seem like it, no.
Right.
It sounds like it involves a deeper level of energetic alignment, intention, maybe even collaboration with other beings or forces.
Wow. Now we're getting into some really intriguing territory.
Oh, I know, right? This is getting good.
Okay, so his perspective on universal laws.
Yeah.
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
He posits that there's only one true law.
And what's that?
You are power, and you create your own reality.
So you're saying it's not about a bunch of fixed rules that are governing the universe?
Not according to him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he encourages a much more empowered outlook, suggesting that we have a much greater degree of agency in shaping our experiences than we might realize.
I love that perspective.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. And this idea of personal power also ties into energetic contamination.
Okay, how so?
Well, he suggests that this can interfere with things like telepathic communication, for example.
So it's not all sunshine and rainbows in the spiritual realm.
Well, he seems to acknowledge that there can be challenges and potential pitfalls along the path of spiritual exploration.
Which makes sense. I mean, we're talking about energy here.
Yeah.
It adds another layer of complexity.
Yeah, for sure. And then there are these incredibly powerful sessions that he describes, like the one with this woman named Aurora, and they encounter an entity called the Scorpion King.
The Scorpion King. That's intense.
It's a very memorable detail.
Yeah.
And it suggests that within his framework, there's the potential for these really profound and even otherworldly experiences.
It really makes you wonder what's possible when we open ourselves up to these unconventional ideas.
It really does.
Yeah, it certainly does make you think.
And, you know, speaking of unconventional, he talks about dismantling limiting programs that hold us back.
Programs.
Yeah. You know, it's like we need to debug our own minds.
Oh, I see. So he uses that metaphor of a computer program to illustrate how those limiting beliefs can really operate in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, dictating our thoughts and behaviors like lines of code.
Yeah. So how do we rewrite that code?
Right. Well, he doesn't give us, you know, a step-by-step guide in this Q&A, unfortunately.
Okay.
But he emphasizes recognizing those outdated beliefs first, challenging them, and ultimately choosing to align with our true desires and potential.
So it's about taking ownership and not letting those old programs run the show anymore.
Exactly.
I like another interesting point that comes up is this idea of reincarnation timelines.
Timelines.
Yeah, you know, like alternate realities where we've lived different lives.
Oh, wow.
So someone in the audience asks about discrepancies in information they received about their past lives from different sources.
Okay, so they got conflicting stories about who they were in a past life.
Yeah, which I think is something that a lot of people maybe have experienced.
Probably.
Yeah, and Grifasi connects this to the possibility of shifting timelines.
Interesting.
Yeah, suggesting that perhaps the information received was accurate, but it reflected different versions of the individual soul journey across various timelines.
Okay, so multiple possible pasts.
Yeah.
Wow, my head is spinning.
I know this deep dive is really pushing the boundaries of what I usually think about when it comes to spirituality.
It's so cool though, right?
Yeah. It really is a good reminder that there are so many perspectives and possibilities we haven't even begun to explore.
For sure.
Okay, let's talk about protection in the energetic realm.
Okay.
He seems to really emphasize safeguarding our personal space from unwanted intrusions.
So he talks about setting up those strong energetic boundaries.
Yeah.
So you're not constantly bombarded by outside influences.
Yeah.
He even gives some practical advice.
Oh, really? Like what?
Visualization techniques or working with energy healers.
So it's not just about passively hoping for the best.
No, it's about empowerment.
Yeah.
Taking those proactive steps to cultivate a sense of safety and security within our energy field.
I like that a lot. There was this question about a universal cure-all, you know, for energetic problems.
It's like a magic pill.
Yeah, exactly.
For negative energies.
Yeah, and I know I've wished for something like that at times.
Who hasn't, right?
Yeah.
But he cautions against relying too heavily on external solutions, even in the spiritual realm.
Yeah, it's like he uses the metaphor of medicine in the physical world, right? You might feel better temporarily, but it doesn't really address the root of the issue.
Precisely. It's about understanding the root causes of our energetic imbalances.
Right.
And addressing them holistically, rather than just slapping on a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, what are those deeper issues that might be attracting those negative energies in the first place, right?
That's a great question for self-reflection, for sure.
It is, and it ties back into, you know, his emphasis on personal responsibility and empowerment.
For sure.
I like that about him. He really encourages people to come to their own conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't present these ideas in a dogmatic way at all.
Yeah, he really emphasizes personal experience,
Yeah.
encouraging the listeners to experiment and see what works for them.
Right. It's not about blindly following a set of rules.
No.
It's about embarking on a personal journey.
Exactly.
It's like he's saying, here are some tools and ideas.
Yeah.
Now go out and see what you can create with them.
And he briefly mentions these things he calls guests.
Guests.
Yeah, which are these entities that can reside within our energy fields.
So it's like having roommates in your aura.
I like that analogy. He emphasizes that these guests can have varying impacts.
Okay.
Some are beneficial, others potentially harmful.
So it's not always about banishing, everything that's not you.
Right. It's about discerning which energies are supportive and which ones might be draining or disruptive.
Right. It's about developing a conscious awareness of what's present in our energetic field.
Yeah.
And making choices that align with our highest good.
For sure. He briefly touches upon this idea of sexual energy,
Right.
but doesn't really delve too deeply into it here.
Yeah.
Seems like he's saving that for a future session.
It does sound like a topic he's passionate about, though.
Yeah.
He hints at the potential power of it,
Right.
but doesn't really elaborate on how it fits into his overall framework.
So we'll have to stay tuned for that deep dive.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Even without those details, this session has already been quite a journey.
It has.
Exploring everything from karma and reincarnation to energetic hygiene and the potential of manifesting entities.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. So what stands out to you as the most significant takeaway so far?
Yeah, it really has been a lot to process.
So many fascinating ideas.
Grifasi's perspective on spirituality is definitely unique and really makes you think.
It certainly challenges conventional thinking.
Yeah.
What I really appreciate is his emphasis on personal experience and experimentation.
Yep.
It's refreshing to hear a spiritual teacher who doesn't claim to have all the answers, but encourages us to find our own truth.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways you think will really resonate with our listeners?
Well, that idea of personal power as like the fundamental universal law, that's pretty profound.
Yeah.
He's suggesting that we're not just pawns in some predetermined cosmic game,
Right.
but active creators of our own reality.
Yeah.
That's a really powerful concept, and it can be incredibly liberating. It is. It reminds me of that famous quote, "The only thing that stands between you and your dream is the will to try and the belief that it is actually possible."
Exactly. And Grifasi takes it a step further. you know,
Yeah.
by suggesting that our beliefs not only influence our actions, but actually shape the reality we experience.
That's huge.
Yeah, it puts a whole new spin on the power of positive thinking, doesn't it?
For sure. It also makes you realize the importance of questioning those limiting beliefs that might be holding us back.
Absolutely. And remember his discussion of energetic hygiene.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really practical takeaway we can all apply in our daily lives.
Right.
You know, protecting our energetic space, setting boundaries, being mindful of the energies we allow into our field. These are all crucial aspects of spiritual well-being.
It's like taking care of our mental and emotional health, but on an energetic level.
Exactly. And just like with physical health, prevention is key.
Right.
You know, by being proactive and taking steps to protect our energetic well-being,
Yeah.
we can avoid a lot of unnecessary suffering and disharmony.
That's a good point. You know what really struck me throughout this deep dive is Grifasi's emphasis on self-discovery and personal experience. He doesn't present this rigid dogma or a set of rules.
No.
He really encourages us to explore different ideas and see what resonates with us individually.
It's an invitation to embark on our own unique spiritual journey.
It is. He provides the map, but we get to choose the destination and the path we take to get there.
And sometimes those paths can lead us to unexpected places, like encountering a Scorpion King entity.
Oh yeah, that's an image that's going to stay with me for a while.
It definitely speaks to the vastness and mystery of the spiritual realm.
Right.
There's always more to learn and explore, and he encourages us to approach it all with a sense of curiosity and wonder.
I love that. So as we live our listeners to ponder all these ideas, what's one final question they might want to ask themselves?
If you truly embraced the idea that you are the creator of your own reality, what would you choose to manifest in your life?
That's a big one.
It's a powerful question and one that deserves careful consideration.
It does. And remember, the link to Calogero Grifasi's YouTube channel is in the show notes if you want to explore more of his teachings. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating deep dive.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring these unconventional ideas with us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep creating the reality you desire.